rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Wow. Okay, so 10 years ago, politics changed. Many people would say for the better. Some morons would say for the worse. But whatever you think of what happened 10 years ago today, the man, Donald Trump, rode the golden escalator down to basically announce that he was running for president. July 16th, 2015 is when this occurred. And it was just, well, let's just say that it really lit up the politics world, for sure. We'll get into a little bit of that tonight. Also, too, some other things going on with regards to what has occurred with Trump's second term. And yeah, so there you go. We're going to get all into this in just a minute. First, let's go ahead and kick things off with 3 Chevy. 3 Chevy is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat, if you're wearing one, like me, and place your hand over your heart and join along with 3 Chevy as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, 3 Chevy, for giving us that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge or reciting the pledge in your style, and then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file that you may create, attach it to an email, send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. All right, and tonight's headline sponsor is theflagshirt.com. Theflagshirt.com is guaranteeing delivery for the 4th of July for all of their products that they have. So get on over to theflagshirt.com and shop patriotic gear. Shirts, accessories, men's, women's, kids, made in the USA, all kinds of things decked out in the red, white, and blue. Get ready for the real No King's Day celebration. The real No King's Day celebration. And, yeah, I'm sorry. 3 Chevy distracted me there for a second. I had to read his question and, or his question. Anyway, the real No King's Day celebration, July 4th. That's right. When we basically told the King of England to go F himself. Declaration of Independence signed 4th of July, 1776. Let's get this party started. The real No Kings celebration. Go over to theflagshirt.com, grab all kinds of accessories and 4th of July outfits and everything else that's there for everything. So head on over to theflagshirt.com and get yourself some products and services. And by the way, if you order $75 or more of their product, you will receive free shipping. But I know not everybody can do that. So I am going to help out as best I can. And that is, if you head over to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, that's flagshirt.americanperspective.online, you will be presented with a coupon code. That coupon code can be copy and pasted into the promo box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, and you will get $5 off your order. Head on over to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. Get that coupon code, copy it, and paste it into the promo code box at theflagshirt.com when you go to get your order, and that's a checkout, and you will receive $5 off your order on American Perspective. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. Well, of course, real quick news before we get into it. The guy, the deranged lunatic that is suspected to be the Minnesota lawmaker assassin, has been captured. He crawled to the police out of some woody area in Minnesota and near his home, I guess, is what I've heard. And he has now been captured. Now, once again, I'm just going to point this out. No matter what the left and the right talk about, okay, nobody can tell what this guy's political affiliations actually were. All right. Because of the fact that many, many times on his social media, he says that he is unaffiliated with either party. So nobody really knows at this point. But who does know is the Minnesota police, or the state police, probably, but the law enforcement agency that's been handling this investigation. And they're not releasing the manifesto, which is indicative of a possibility that it doesn't say what they want it to say. So I'm just gonna throw this out here, not saying that I know anything, but if the guy had a manifesto that was clearly 100%, right-wing extremist stuff, it would have been plastered everywhere within 24 hours. The fact that it isn't, just like with the Nashville shooters, the fact that it isn't is sort of an indication that there might be something in there that they are not interested in putting out to the public. So regardless of what you see on the social medias, regardless of what you see on, the news at this point, there is no knowledge of which side he actually sits on. But again, I just find it really suspicious that they haven't bothered to publish, and they even admitted that they're not going to publish the manifesto. So that being said, it makes me wonder what's inside. There could be something inside that they definitely don't want anybody to get a hold of. So just saying, And by the way, they are claiming that he is like an evangelical pastor or, I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, we're just gonna have to wait it out and find out. But this guy really, regardless of which side he's actually on, let's be honest, this is a deranged lunatic who, took political violence to the extreme. And it's not as though the left hasn't pushed political violence. They're going to claim that they haven't. But, again, there's indications that he has voted Republican in the past. There's indications that he is Democrat because he worked for Tim Walz. He worked with Tim Walz. His wife worked for Tim Walz. They are acquainted with the Walzes. So, yeah, I just, again, don't really know one way or the other. And Tim did put him on a couple of advisory boards or whatever, and had some claims that supposedly that he really liked the guy or whatever, which kind of makes it hard for me to believe that he was like an ultra mega kind of person or even ultra conservative kind of person. But again, this guy just, regardless, he's just whacked out. That's all. He's just whacked out. And so that's basically it. All right. So 10 years ago to the day, and all of the liberal media laughed about it. They all laughed about it. In fact, you'll remember that they had just a classic time. Even like Barack Obama at one point at the president's White House Correspondents' Dinner made a joke at Donald Trump's expense about the fact that he wasn't going to be president. And lo and behold, Donald Trump said, "Hold my beer." And he went ahead and did it in 2016. And regardless of what anybody thinks about Donald Trump, he did it again in 2024. And because he did it again in 2024, Time magazine actually admitted that the president-elect was the world's most powerful man and selected him for the second time as their person of the year, or of the year. They said the senior political correspondent, Eric Cortellessa, said he has realigned American politics, remaking the GOP and leaving Democrats reckoning with what went awry. And so 10 years ago, liberal journalists mocked, belittled Trump. The late nights mocked and belittled Trump. You even had people claiming, on all kinds of normally liberal shows that the next president was going to be Donald Trump, and everybody was laughing about it. They were laughing about the whole thing. Yep. So minutes after the announcement, if you recall, MSNBC host Andrea Mitchell asked her Democrat guest, former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Randell, said basically, "Do you have any doubt that this is anything more than just a carnival show?" On CBS This Morning, the next day after Donald Trump announced, co-host Norah O'Donnell relayed how some Republicans say they're worried Trump will turn the campaign into a circus. Yep. Correspondent Nancy Cortez echoed how party leaders worry Trump's presence will turn the primary into a joke. They also, over on CNN, host Carol Costello held up the sneering cover of the New York Daily News with Trump wearing circus makeup, saying clown runs for president. Yep. Mike Barnacle asked on MSNBC's Morning Joe, "Can we stipulate the purposes of this conversation that Donald Trump will never be president of the United States?" Yeah. Plenty of personal insults were thrown around. Toobin called Trump a fool. NBC's Chuck Todd blasted him as a late-night joke and political streaker. NBC's Today Show relegated the news to the 23-second brief, but made sure to use and include this insulting sentence. America's largest Latino civil rights organization called Trump an exceedingly silly man. Yep. All of that. And here we are today. And a lot of that had to deal with the fact that they were sycophantic bootlickers of Barack Obama. The media in 2015 basically blinded themselves to what would fuel Trump's rise and continue to his presidency today. Now, what's really joking about that, now look, I am not a Tucker Carlson fan. I'm just going to throw it out there, not a Tucker Carlson fan. To me, the guy kind of is borderline like really bad conspiracy theorist, attention whore, kind of thing. Now, he has hit on some really good stories. I'm not going to deny that, all right? However, that being said, he's just not my cup of tea. Well, Tucker, I've heard. I haven't seen anything confirming this, but I've heard that Tucker Carlson basically posted somewhere or said on his show at one point, said that Donald Trump himself is not MAGA. That Donald Trump did not create MAGA. That MAGA was created by people like him. And I'm sorry, but Tucker, you may want to think that way, but you're entirely wrong, because up until 2016, Make America Great Again was, essentially, it was Trump. It was all Trump. Trump is the defining force that created the MAGA movement, that wrapped everybody in the MAGA movement. And so, you cannot have MAGA without Trump. You really can't when you think about it from the beginning. Now, yes, there are a lot of patriotic people out there, like myself, okay? And before Trump, yes, we were feeling a little down. And we were thinking, oh my gosh, who's going to be able to take this party to the next level, to be able to recover from the 8 years of Obama and the lies and the divisiveness and all of the things that were happening. Donald Trump stepped in, and he was able to rally enough of a coalition in order to beat out. Because again, keep in mind, the sycophantic media, all of the pollsters, everybody else was totally discounting Trump. Complete. They were saying there is absolutely no way Donald Trump could win in 2016. That it was a 98% assured win for Hillary Clinton. And we ended up with Donald Trump. Because of the fact that the sycophantic media had their heads stuck so far up their butts that they couldn't quite figure out which way was up. And then, in 2020, the worst happened. We ended up with a non-compos mentis president, a literal figurehead who was barely even aware that he was president. And for 4 years, this country got a good taste of what happened. What happened and why Donald Trump was elected and why we needed him back into the Oval Office again. And especially when you compared him to the cackling Kamala Harris, who couldn't put a coherent thought together at all. It really and truly shows you how big of a splash Donald Trump made in the political arena. You were running around with clips like what you saw from Oprah, where he was saying back in the early 1990s that he would not run for president unless he really felt that the country needed him. And what did he do? He stepped into the political arena because he finally realized that the country needs me. The country needs me. And he walked out or down that elevator and said, I am running for president. And he took us from what was going to be certain disaster with the Clinton witch, the wicked witch of Arkansas, and what would have been certain disaster, and saved us from that. That was 10 years ago today. And here we have a movement where a Tea Party movement, by the way, the Tea Party movement ended up where it sort of got the start and then it fizzled out. And that was unfortunate. But Donald Trump has been able to recreate and re-energize the party for that. And it changed politics forever. And we're still changing. Because of what Donald Trump did in 2024 has literally destroyed the Democrat Party. has literally destroyed the Democrat Party. And what am I talking about? Well, first of all, they're headless right now. They have literally no idea which end is up at this point. They have no cohesive message. They are totally lost with everything. And yeah, it's just amazing to see the Trump effect on everything within politics. Trump has successfully pulled away what has been a long-time Democrat stronghold, and that is the minority vote. He hasn't pulled them completely away from the Democrats, but he's got the process started. He's got the process started. He has opened up the mind, and they are now starting to open their eyes to the fact that the Democrats, all they have ever wanted is control. Just like LBJ said, I'll have those, bad word, voting Democrat for 40, 50 years. And yeah, Donald Trump has broken that mold. He broke through that what appeared to be an impenetrable barrier with that. In fact, he's got the Democrat Party so discombobulated because of his successful, historic win that he's even got long-term Democrats sitting there questioning what the hell they are doing. And the younger Democrats who want to take the party even farther left, who haven't got the brains to understand that the reason why they lost is because they are stupid. He's got them trying to fight for control in the party. And here's an example of what I am talking about with this. Here in LifeSet, DNC is in disarray. Teachers union boss jumps ship as Democrat civil war heats up. So Randy Weingarten, the outspoken, literally stupid American Federation of Teachers president, has announced that she is departing the Democratic National Committee, ending a 23-year tenure that included longstanding involvement in the party's internal leadership. She is leaving. She has led the second largest teachers union in the United States since 2008. Formally notified DNC officials of her resignation in a letter dated June 5th. She is gone. In her message, she expressed concern over the party's current leadership direction and growing disagreements about its strategic priorities. She says, well, I am proud to be a Democrat. I appear to be out of step with the leadership you are forging, and I do not want to be the one who keeps questioning why we are not enlarging our tent and actively trying to engage more and more of our communities. Well, lady, the reason why is because you're losing those communities. You've lost those communities. You're sitting up there and yelling, being the short little woman that you are. Well, we don't even know she's a woman because she probably can't even define woman. But she's sitting up there yelling about all of this stuff, and people don't like that anymore. People are done with this. And, yeah, so she is out at the DNC. You also had David Hogg, who tried to jump in and gain control as a vice chair. Yeah, his ass left. He actually got kicked out. Same thing with his vice chair or whatever, vice co-chair or whatever it was. She got kicked out too. Yeah. Well, here's another effect of Trump, especially in 2024. Take a look at this headline in the New York Post. Nearly 1 million illegal immigrants have self-deported under Trump, which has led to higher wages. Oh, you know those wonderful things that the Democrats keep talking about raising minimum wage and all of that other stuff? Yeah. So ICE arrests and deportations have grabbed headlines. President Trump is also running a separate but complementary mass deportation program. We've talked about it here on this program. And if the reports are correct, that plan is more successful than anyone could have imagined. Based on government data from the Center for Immigration Studies, has conservatively estimated there's about 15.4 million illegal aliens in the United States, which is a 50% increase over the 4 years of the Biden administration. All right. But Trump rode the wave of concerns back into the Oval Office, and they have implemented a 2-track plan to get rid of all these illegal aliens. One of those tracks relies on the arrests and deportations, which, by the way, they're kicking up in Democrat-run cities, and the Democrats don't like that either. I got something on that here in a little bit. But the other track is more subtle, and it is the program that basically says, hey, we're launching a multi-million-dollar ad campaign warning migrants not to enter illegally or alternatively to leave now and have the possibility to return and enjoy our freedom and actually live the American dream. So in other words, it's the carrot and the stick approach. Donald Trump, and I've told you that he does this with tariffs. It's a carrot and a stick approach. Hey, if you do this for us, you can get the carrot. Otherwise, you're going to get the stick. So the CBP Home app got rebranded from the CBP One app, and it was used to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart. And that also came along with a stipend of $1,000, which, by the way, costly physical deportation can cost taxpayers up to $17,100 per person on average. Now, the one way that they have to track the program is by checking the employment numbers. One financial whiz cited by the Wall Street Journal calculated that a decline in the immigration population of somewhere around the number of 773,000 in the first 4 months. The Washington Post is claiming that 1 million foreign-born workers have exited the workforce since March. And the Post frames this as a sign of the weakening labor supply. Yet the paper also notes, though, that average hourly wages accelerated, rising by 0.4% over the month to $36.24 in May, as earnings continued to beat inflation in a boost to workers' spending power. In other words, we have fewer illegal immigrants. Businesses have actually had to raise wages. Oh my gosh, in order to attract workers. Oh, so this idea of forcing businesses to actually, do this in a minimum wage style is not the way. The way is to get rid of the people who are actually pulling down the wages, which are the people who are able to be paid under the table. The illegal aliens. So, that is a side note of what is happening here. Now, keep in mind, this isn't an unproven program. Back in 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower launched a deportation roundup. Nearly 10 aliens left voluntarily for every single one arrested. You think maybe Donald Trump might have taken his hint from that? We also have a more recent program that worked very similar, which was a post 9/11 registration program, also drove self-deportations. So this is not something to necessarily be afraid of. This kind of thing is going to have positive impacts across the board. It's going to have a positive impact across the board. Now, as a result of this, the Daily Fetched is saying that Trump has reversed mass migration. More people are actually leaving the U.S. than arriving for the first time in 50 years. Now, what does this tell me? What does this kind of thing tells me? It tells me that all of the strain that we have on all of those social programs where people have not paid into it, but the Democrats have just been handing the crap out over and over and over again, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start seeing that number start to decline in terms of the amount that we're spending. And it'll actually, in conjunction that with what's going on with the big, beautiful bill, and now all of a sudden, government expenditures start dropping. And what happens when government expenditures start dropping? Oh, the inflation rate starts to drop. Our taxes start to go down. There's, again, a lot of a positive effect here. Huge positive effect that can come from this entire situation. All right. Pause for me to wet my whistle. And let's talk about, really quick before I get to the international desk, let's talk about 1775 coffee. You still haven't tried it yet? Now it's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. There's a small number of units available. Okay. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast, as well as the Vitality Mushroom Coffee that gives you a clean energy and a laser focus with no crash. All of these beans are single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, as a part of that kit, you're also getting, and this is my favorite, gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother that is strong enough to stir up your coffee, as well as your mother-in-law's political opinions. And you'll get a black 1775 tumbler that says, "I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke, see which." You get $170 worth of coffee and gear, all yours for just $99. This is for the ones that have been watching 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. That's the question mark key for those that you know about. Anyway, 1775coffee.com/studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit before they are gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. Go to 1775coffee/studio and grab your starter kit today. All right. Now, we have this war over between Israel and Iran. And the left is sitting there and talking about how Israel is going to start World War III and all of this other stuff. Well, I hate to tell you this, lefties, lefty morons. No one is backing up Iran because everybody wants Iran gone. Having a regime that is unhinged like Iran is not safe for anyone. Is not safe for anyone. Now, they also, the lefties, sit there and talk about all the wonderful, or all the things that Israel is doing, and you know, how Israel enacted genocide in Gaza and stuff like that. I'm sorry. But Israel is actually issuing warnings to Iranian civilians, just like they did to the Gazan civilians. Israel has perfected the methodology to limit as much as they can civilian casualties. They have perfected this to an art form, and they do it every single time they engage with some other country or entity. And so Israel has been issuing warnings to Iranian civilians. They're saying, hey, get out of Tehran, get out of all of that. Iran, on the other hand, actually targets Israeli civilians. They don't go after the military targets. You need to understand, Israel has been bombing, because they have the air superiority here, has been bombing all military facilities, military and nuclear facilities. They're not hitting the civilian areas, but they are attempting to limit any collateral damage by warning those civilians that, hey, you guys need to get out of there. So that is a huge difference. That is a huge difference between the two. Well, Israel's bombing attacks and everything that they've been doing has been effective. And believe me, they're not stopping. They're just constantly hitting Iran. That one or two Iranian response, that didn't really do hardly anything. I mean, yes, it took some lives, but it didn't really have anything to do with the stopping of this. Well, now, here in the Epic Times, Iran is calling on Trump to force Israel into a ceasefire. A top Iranian official today called on the U.S. president to broker a ceasefire deal between Israel and Iran. Do you honestly believe that President Trump is going to look at Iran and say, hey, here's the way this goes? And believe me, I personally think they did this good cop, bad cop kind of deal. Trump is basically saying, hey, look, it's not us. We're not the ones doing this. This is all Israel. And you know what? Israel is only restrained just a little bit. Just think of what will happen, Iran, if I let Israel off the leash, or if I join in with Israel and I decide to add some munitions to their arsenal. They're already kicking your butt. You don't want me to get involved. So here's how this is going to go. And I'm fairly certain that this is something that Trump I'm paraphrasing here, I'm guessing, but this is something that Trump is probably going to say. Here's how it's going to go, Iran. You're going to dismantle your nuclear program. Either we're going to destroy it or you're going to do it yourself. You want this crap to stop? That's the way. And you never try to get a nuclear weapon ever again. Ever. Because Trump has been completely critical of the JCPOA for a very long time. And he knows and has said multiple times, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, period. We know they're enriching uranium. We know they're enriching it past the point of civilian work. And so this is the perfect position. He now has Iran basically saying this. If President Trump is genuine about diplomacy and interested in stopping this war, next steps are consequential. That's a quote from the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. He wrote on a post on social media platform X. So, yeah. I mean, basically, that is the only answer. Trump just gets on the phone with Iran. Okay. So you want me to broker a ceasefire? All right, here's the ceasefire. You start immediately dismantling your nuclear program. I mean, go down there and start dismantling it right now. And then I'll talk to them about stopping the bombing. That's how he needs to handle this. That's how he needs to handle this. So, yeah. Iran says that more than 224 Iranians have been killed. They say most of them civilians. That's not the case. By the way, also, Israel has been targeting Iranian media, too. There's a video out. I don't have it, but there's a video out of an attack going on, and this woman who is on Iranian television, news television, and she she basically has to like duck for cover because one of the bombs hit close to the state-run media building. And yeah. And no, I'm not going to reenact it. I'm sorry, I'm just not. But yeah, he basically, so Trump has also said that the Israeli assault could end quickly if Iran agrees to U.S. demands that it accepts strict curbs on its nuclear program. Something that's also sought, and this is why, by European countries. Trump also stressed his administration was not involved in the Israeli strikes, but warned Iran not to attack the U.S. assets in the region. So, yeah. Yep. There we go. So there you go. Anyway, it's yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Well, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but it appears that the left has kind of changed their tune on the good old red, white, and blue. See, they used to say that, oh, the red, white, and blue, it triggers me. It causes me to go into shakes and fear, and I'm so scared when I see it and everything. Apparently, there is a shift in the political arena, and Politico, which is, again, if you want to know what the left is thinking, all you have to do is go to Politico. They'll tell you. But apparently there's a report out that the Dems are trying to reclaim the Stars and Stripes as theirs. So 2 days ahead of Flag Day, Democrat Representatives Pat Ryan and Chris Deluzio fanned out to give a gift to their colleagues, and they basically were trying to reclaim the American flag. That the Democrats are attempting to reclaim the American flag. And so this is their newest approach in an attempt to win back voters. Yeah, that's really going to go well. So the flag that they were giving, it was a 4-inch by 6-inch American flag, which they passed out at almost the exact moment that Senator Alex Padilla was getting forcibly removed for his stupid debacle. But anyway, the flags were made at Deluzio's Pennsylvania, and came with a message from a written on the back that basically said that patriotism does not belong to one party. The flag and the values it stands for belong to every single American. Yeah. They're not, no, this fails. This fails big time. Politico is trying to get this, to sit there and they're attempting to make this into this big deal. But yeah, the flag is lost, folks, to the Democrats. The flag is lost. It is ours, and it will always be ours, because the Democrats have lost their way in terms of what American values actually are. They have lost their way in terms of things like understanding what day the No Kings actually is. So, yeah. So there you go. And of course, they attacked the whole 250th birthday of the United States Army. They attacked it and called it, this is a bit of a problem, so on and so forth. The leftist media portrayed it as something out of North Korea or whatever. The socialist stuff. Yeah, they're gone. They can go ahead and try. Senator Elissa Slotkin, who is in Michigan, put it earlier this year. She said it's time for Democrats to effing retake the flag. Yeah, that's not going to go. That's not going to go well. I'm sorry. But, they keep trying to, get service members and veterans and all of this other stuff. Yeah, it's failing. But hey, go ahead. They are attempting to do this. Even Pete Buttigieg on Instagram said last Thursday, any salute to the flag, any salute to the flag or patriotism or talk of American greatness is completely hollow if you do not respect the freedoms that flag represents. Exactly. We as conservatives respect what that flag represents. So, but don't be surprised. You're going to try and retake the flag. You're going to see it. They're going to start going on about all of that. So anyway, so there's this new study out, and the liberals are just going nuts. So this study was done by a British psychology club or outlet, and what they did is they asked a few questions, and then they mapped. So this is a study from the British Journal of Social Psychology, and they mapped the differential in the answers of the questions. And they basically kind of wanted to see how diverse the leftist mindset actually is. Now, we all know that the leftist mindset is pretty much the hive mind. We all know this because we experience it every single day on social media, on mainstream media, everywhere. You see one person says a message, it's almost copied word for word. Well, now we have a study that actually backs this up. Okay? And this study took and mapped these their results, I should say, their findings. And so here is the map. And I'm kind of in the way of it, but this is just the way it is. And you look at this map, and this is the diversity of thought, one of the graphics that they put together. This is the diversity of thought on this map. And as you see over to my right, your left, you'll see that the diversity of thought that's in the blue is not quite as spread out. In fact, it's not even as close to being spread out as much as the Republicans are. And you can actually see this even when you'd have Republicans trying to all coalesce. There is a breakup or a differential between the viewpoints of the Republicans. And so they're more spread out rather than the Democrat hive mind, which is much more closely aligned with each other. And this is part of the reason why the Democrats are able to join in lockstep with one another to be able to defeat Republicans, because Republicans don't have the same mindset and are actually, according to the study, a lot more open about differing belief systems. So this study, they recruited over 400 paid participants. 58% of them self-identified as Democrats. 28% identified as independents. 13.9% identified as Republicans. The study then asks participants to rank their opinions on 8 questions regarding hot-button topics, such as abortion, immigration, gun control, and gay marriage, on a 5-point scale. Now, they concluded the cluster reflecting the Democrat belief system almost exclusively contained nothing but extreme attitudes, as indicated by a strong disagreement by each of the 8 items. Conversely, the cluster, which is right above my head here in the graphic, reflecting the Republican belief system, contained a wider range of attitude responses, ranging from mild disagreement to maximum agreement. This is why the leftists and the leftist morons are so deeply ingrained. And this is part of the reason, too, why I keep saying, leftist, if you're watching this program, I'm just going to point this out. This indicates that you are being brainwashed. All of your thoughts, everything that you put together, all of the rhetoric and the propaganda that you push every single time you engage with me or anybody else is an immediate effect based on the fact that you have this hive mind-like belief system that is demonstrated here in this graphic behind me. You cannot have an independent thought, because if you have an independent thought, you're immediately ostracized from the leftist group. Just look at anybody such as Bill Maher, Jake Tapper, Stephen A. Smith. All of those same people who used to be deep, and even people like Elon Musk, who used to be deep into the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party has decided that they want nothing more than a mindless army of individuals who cannot think for themselves. This graphic represents it. And if you think that the Republicans are of that same mind, they're not. They're not even close, and this proves it right here. This demonstrates that the Republicans are actually made up of people with a different scope and a different mindset, and are open to different ideas and are willing to discuss them in order to come to a consensus of the best path forward. The left? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. As far as they're concerned, if you don't toe the line, you're gone. You're ostracized. You're out. End of story. And that indicates more of a cult and cultish behavior than what you see in the Republican Party or the conservatives. Period. End of story. And it's definitely not, Karen says, they don't have 2 brain cells to actually rub together. And that's part of the reason why they are so susceptible to BS crap like this, like what you see. So, anyway, well, from the FAFO file. That's right, the FAFO file. And this guy is in the FA category. This from Chicago's mayor. Chicago's mayor is not taking any hints from California and well, actually he is. He's taken the wrong hints from California and Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass. Chicago's mayor promises to resist enforcing immigration law. There we go. So over the weekend on MSNBC, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson announced that Chicago will continue its sanctuary policies and will continue to resist any effort by federal government to enforce the law. Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, Democrats, you want to get tied into this idea that you guys are the law and order, Constitution following party? You're not even close. You're really not even close. It's demonstrated by your actions all over the place. Okay? And the mayor basically said that he needs to, yeah, I can't even repeat what this mayor said because it's just so freaking stupid. So he is in the FA portion. He's going to FA. And I guarantee you, Tom Holman, DHS, and President Trump are going to make him FO, just like Padilla found out. You can't sit here and mess around like this. This is exactly what a mayor is supposed to do. A governor is supposed to do. They are executives. They are supposed to enforce the laws that the legislature and their city council or whatever come up with. That's their whole freaking job, is to enforce law. That's literally what they're supposed to do. And so I don't think this is going to come out the way you think it is, Mayor. Yeah. It's going to be a long 3.5 years for these people if they don't freaking start towing the line. Well, with all these deportations and these ICE, raids and everything else, the U.S. is on track to have the lowest murder rate in quite some time, if not ever. So, according to FBI Director Kash Patel, the murder rate is already 20% less than what it was last year. And we have basically 6 months remaining. Cash was on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and he basically said, we are on track to have the lowest homicide rate ever. They're down 20% from last year, and it broke again this week. So one of the major reasons, of course, is that the enhanced law enforcement under the new administration that prioritizes order over chaos. More than 680,000 law enforcement officers had urged the Senate to confirm Patel as FBI director. Yep. And he did. They did it. And Patel pledged to equip the law enforcement with necessary resources that they need to work effectively and depoliticize the federal agency, the FBI, that was highly weaponized under the Biden administration. Yeah. So, yep. In addition to the law enforcement, by the way, the deportation of violent criminals also is playing a key role. See, people don't seem to understand this, and I'm just going to put this out there, but people don't seem to understand this. It is a small number of individuals who are committing the massive amount of violent crime. End of story. You get rid of those individuals, violent crime is going to drop. That's it. That's the way this works. And so many people don't seem to understand this. Well, like I said, it's going to be a long 3.5 years for those people. All right, folks, that is enough for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, be sure to search up the American Perspective channel to get and press that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget to do your thumbs up or thumbs down if you really want to on all of my outlets. whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, and of course the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.